Alright, welcome back to the channel everybody. Aesop Grim here, and this is the continuation of my blind playthrough of RDR2 in the summer of 2025. We got a few things to do here. Because our guy is, Arthur here is, in the red when it comes to his weight. So let's get some food in him. And another one of those. And our horse is also thin. Canned pineapples. Okay. So we're gonna go help the Union. Well, I guess he's not called Union anymore. The American soldier who is trying to help the Indians. Let's see here. There we go. Give you
okay there, boy.
Maybe 6 of these. I don't know. Hey, maybe we'll give him 3. See how that does. Alright, guys. Well, Monday would have been the perfect timing to talk about Iran-Israel, but I had already recorded a video by then. This is your Wednesday video. I'm recording it as of Tuesday.
Yep.
So things have settled down and the news cycle is kind of beginning to transition. Which is kind of one of the, I guess, aspects of our modern times. We move pretty rapid fire. But, basically it was, I don't know if I would say fun. I can't think of another word, though. Amusing, none of these words seem appropriate in the context of war, you know, or conflict, battle. But I don't have the Iranians and Israelis in mind here. I'm thinking about lefties here at home. I'm thinking about politicians. I'm thinking about the part of MAGA that was hysterical and pearl clutching and just absolutely some aspects of them completely incensed and outraged that we were, from their perspective, being manipulated into another Middle Eastern war by, oh no, Israel, you know. And those people all looked silly again. They all looked silly again. You know, the last time that I can remember that they looked this, you know, as a block, that they looked this silly, and it was kind of a different group of people. But it was when the Never Trumpers, the ones that kind of wanted Ron DeSantis instead, or another candidate, the Never Trumpers that were absolutely panicking that when the stock market kind of crashed there a little bit when Trump first entered into office, and he instituted tariffs and stuff, and they went and they sold their stocks, you know, and they're like, we told you this guy was going to be terrible, and now it's upon us, and he's going to crush the American economy. I mean, none of this matches up with what the man accomplished the last time he was in office. So it was pure, just breathless hyperbole. Oh no! And like 3 days later, the stock market shot through the roof, and they'd lost all their money. Because they sold. So that was a different group of people, because it's a different, we're dealing with economies, right? This group here, though, was, I think, it included more people. I tell you what, my weather vane is, how do liberals react? And if liberals are really happy, I'm concerned. If liberals are panicking, I certainly don't join them. You know, and that's not that's like a rule of thumb. It doesn't apply to absolutely everything. I get it. But I'm telling you, there are some people out there that call them America first, and they're not. They are one-issue voters. They just want the Jews removed from power globally. Well, you know, and then the rest. That's a small group, in my opinion. They're pretty feisty and they're very loud, but they're a small group as far as I can tell. The rest of the people that made up this block of panicky people, I can really actually understand that. America's been involved in these forever wars for far too long. We're all burnt out on it. We're all sick. It makes me think of what I heard was mentioned about Chiefs fans one time, because like through the 80s and 90s, the Chiefs would have promising teams and their fans would get all excited. And then they'd get into the playoffs and their fans would be super stoked and supporting the team, and the team would be doing good, and then they'd have a fourth quarter meltdown and lose the game. And this happened for like a decade straight. and so it sowed like a complex into Chiefs fans that it really took Mahomes and company a while to overcome that. I think they're pretty much, Chiefs fans are okay now for the most part, because they've been having a lot of winning, but that's what this reminds me of. You know, most of these people, they're just so burnt out that they're ready for anything involving the Middle East to just absolutely sink our ship, you know, and they don't want to have nothing to do with it. But there you go, you know, the 12-hour war, as Trump dubbed it. That was funny. I think he's being tongue-in-cheek there, because it wasn't even a war. I guess you have AOC calling for his impeachment because she's saying that he conducted military action without congressional approval. Now, look, I can't, as much as I'd like to, I can't thumb my nose at her and mock her for being stupid, because when Obama did that with Libya, I also was just as bewildered. I stayed that way up until present day. I was like, I don't know how he got away with that. I just chalked it up to the machine being complicit with him and just kind of letting him do it. But no, it turns out that the way that the laws are written, a president can do exactly that. There are some conditions, and I'm not so sure that you can actually declare a formal war. You can take military action, and that's what Trump did. And you don't need congressional approval to do it. To me, that, and actually, you know, with 2020 hindsight, I see how that can be abused, but I see how that's necessary too. The job of the executive is to keep Americans protected, to defend our security. You don't have time to go through a 6-month litigation strategy of politics and have everybody just hash it out, when you need to deal with something that's either an opportunity right now or a threat right now, and can't be allowed to stick around, right? So I was happy to see, you know, he's not going to get it, because everything in this world that has any kind of globalist attachment to it is completely left-wing. But Trump is being talked about in terms of he should be a candidate for the Nobel Peace Prize, because what he accomplished between two bitter enemies that have been fighting each other for more than a millennia is kind of astounding. And I totally agree with that. That's what he's able to do. The Abraham Accords that he did in his first 4 years in office, and now this brokering of a ceasefire between Israel and Iran, when they were fully at each other's throats after years and years and years of just kind of limited, very hands cuffed behind their backs by other nations warfare. They both finally got to really go at each other. You know, Israel's really been chomping at the bit for that, and for Trump to be able to calm everybody down and get a ceasefire, and it took less than a day. You know, that's impressive.
Hello, here I am as promised.
Captain Monroe.
Of course.
Chief's gone out trying to find medications. It's quite a business.
Yes. Thought we were through with all this.
Well, we are, mostly. Colonel Favors seems to think the natives have broken some promise they never made, and apparently he's punishing them by withholding vaccines sent down by the federal government.
Really?
I was supposed to oversee the administration of the vaccines. Now I hear the wagon's been diverted.
Why would he do such a thing?
To be honest, I truly don't know. They say he didn't have a very good war, so
The
maybe he's
federal
trying to start
government and
another
the
one.
administration of
Is that
vaccines.
what you think?
I'm trying to find out, and he knows I'm trying to find out. He'd love to provoke me almost as much as he'd love to provoke these poor bastards.
Meaning?
Meaning that despite the fact that I think he's a horse's ass, he knows I think that. So we're just stuck here trying to make the best of things.
This is the best of things. Children dying of diseases.
No,
Arthur's
This is
morally incensed. None of this.
Where is this wagon? Where can we find it?
I
None
can
of
show
this
you. It's supposed to be
seems
heading
right.
to Wapiti after coming up through Valentine, but it's been diverted south instead.
Come on, Captain Monroe.
Mr. Morgan, we must act with due caution.
Oh, we shall. We surely shall. Now come.
Okay.
This seems
I think
about
I know
as
a spot where we
forced
should be
as you
able to
can make
intercept
it.
Lead the way, Captain.
I don't even care about cutting this dude's dialogue off. This seems bad. I don't know. Maybe it'll get better. I'm
so
just.
this
th-
Colonel Favors.
it doesn't fit Arthur's character, in my opinion.
Yes and no. He knows I'm here to produce a report on the situation. I was sent down from the north after all the news of unrest in the region. But I think my presence might be making things worse.
What do you mean?
I worry he's taking some of these actions more to protect himself now. If he can incite more retaliation, maybe he can prove a stronger defense.
Well, like destroying that shrine.
Yes, and taking their horses. I mean, I don't know if he personally sanctioned any of this or not. This is the other problem. There's a culture now in his regiment. The rot has traveled down the trunk.
Okay. Well, just show me where to find this wagon, and I'll get the medicine for you. You don't need to be involved.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. But I must ask you, please be discreet. We really cannot afford more conflict. I'm still hoping a meeting can be arranged between Rains Falls and Colonel Favors.
I understand. So I should drop the...
They're not going to shut up. I wanted to say that that part did make sense. Like, corruption flows downhill, especially in the military. You know, so if you get a bad commander in place, it can spread to the lower ranks, especially if your non-coms don't provide some sort of a filter. So I still think that the overall story here is forced as hell, man. To me, maybe I'm just not feeling it. I'm ready to recognize that. It might just be my perception, but this does not feel, this feels like it got shoved in, not like it really fits in with the main story. It doesn't feel like, to me, like Arthur would be, he's almost coming off as like an outraged lefty with a bleeding heart. You know, like what you see. I'm trying to come up with examples that we see today. You ever see those people that get out in the streets and scream and holler and raise hell over something that they know half as much as they think they do, and they end up just being fools, you know, stopping traffic to save Mother Earth and stuff like that, you know, or protesting in the streets and then being completely bewildered if they get hit by a car that didn't even realize that they were, you know, what am I trying to say? Sometimes these people get run over because they are surrounding these cars and they're threatening the drivers, and the drivers are like, I'm going to piece out of this thing. You're not today, Satan. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about protesters in the streets, and a car comes around the corner and isn't expecting all of these pedestrians to be just loitering around and tries to dodge and weave as he's trying to slow down, and then clip somebody, and they're all like, oh my God, oh my, that kind, the bleeding heart, imbecilic ignoramus going off half-cocked for some righteous cause that he or she don't know nothing about. That's what I feel like Arthur was made to look like. It doesn't seem consistent with his personality. He's in an outlaw gang. He has robbed and killed and murdered. He has tuberculosis right now because he went to collect money from a guy that's just trying to scratch a living together to feed his family, including kids, and he didn't give 2 cents about that, right? So it doesn't seem like it. Even a good guy, Arthur, doesn't seem like he would be this fired up for a group of people that he's not personally close to.
Wagon back at the reservation?
Oh, no. No. You only need to commandeer the vaccine. Stealing those and an army wagon will only make matters much worse.
Okay.
You know, Favors has many flaws, but I don't believe he's callous. More an insecure man at the end of his career trying to cling on to something that's already gone. He
Okay.
fought for the Union in the war, and his record was considered far from illustrious. A failed man is often the most dangerous.
Well, that seemed to bring a little bit of balance. They're saying that he's not ideological. He's more scared for his own interests because he's at the tail end of his career. And they even said he fought for the quote-unquote good guys, right? Because that would be these developers' takes, I think. Not that the North wasn't the good guys, but the liberals get
All
really
right.
acrimonious
This
about
is
it,
the
it
spot I was
seems.
thinking of. Let's cut up this way.
Sure.
There's a nice vantage point up at the top.
And
here.
they said that his career was far from illustrious. So that normally they're speaking in glowing terms about the North and demonizing everything about the South. So that was some balance, in my opinion. I give a hat tip there.
Easy. Okay, let's dismount here. Best leave the horses back a bit. We'll have a good view over the road from this ledge. The wagon should come along this way.
Okay.
You're a good man, Mr. Morgan, but I fear this task to be a fool's errand.
Well, firstly, I'm a long way from a good man. Secondly, fool's errands are my favorite kind of work.
Fair enough.
Uh-huh.
In that case, I can see we shall be great friends.
May I ask you a question?
Of course.
Why don't you just tell all the folk up in Washington what kind of an idiot Colonel Favors is and save us all a lot of bother?
Unfortunately, the
Protected.
government doesn't work quite like that.
If you say so.
There. I think that's the wagon.
All right. Get yourself out of here.
Just remember.
Now, partially, why would they? They're going to take this guy's word at what everything's about credibility, you know? So the colonel is what? He's a colonel. So he's got some credibility there. This guy's like a lieutenant or a captain, and his word is just on its own, or even produced with reports, isn't going to carry the day against a colonel. You're going to need a whole lot more than that.
Or to keep it clean, understand me?
Don't worry, I'm as clean as they come. Not all I do is clean.
Well, good luck.
I'll meet you back at the reservation.
Try not to get yourself killed, Mr. Morgan.
No, now, I can't promise.
Retrieve the medicine from the supply wagon. All right, now are we supposed to shoot these guys? Or are they gonna stop somewhere? That's the part I didn't really catch that. Of course, it's because I was talking, I understand that, but those are the ups and downs I'm willing to take. Come on. It feels like my controls are backwards. Okay.
Whoa, whoa!
Maybe the intro to this mission would be scripted differently if I was playing a bad guy, Arthur. Perhaps they had him being sympathetic towards the Indians' plight here because I've got him cranked all the way over to the right as far as good guy status. I have not really considered that because everything seems so well acted and there's a lot of scenes that it's hard for me to imagine that they would have that much dialogue. Are you guys able to confirm, maybe, have you noticed any missions I've run through that maybe you played a bad guy, Arthur, and you distinctly remember there being different dialogue and his personality being more calloused? That would be neat to know. Okay, what's our horse's status now? I guess what's everybody's status? Player, we are red. Horse is fit. Okay, good. Let's maybe eat a little bit more. Just like one thing. Like a piece of fruit or something. That's the wrong button. Do I have any fresh fruit on me? Yeah. 49 apples. There we go. Okay. Can we hitch up? Who cares? Let's just go talk.
Word is, the eagle flies is allied to the white man. I wonder.
Captain Monroe, I got the medicine.
Oh, wonderful. That's great news, Mr. Morgan.
Yeah, well, don't worry. It didn't go too bad.
Oh, I'll have to take your word for that. We could both swing for this.
Yeah, well, I think I'm a little past caring about hanging, Monroe.
Look at his eyes.
I just hope Colonel Favors thinks he was robbed by bandits and not...
Oh, no, I'm still a bandit. There ain't no doubt about that.
Of course. Well, I better get to work. Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Bandit or not, this was a good thing. Maybe it'll get us both killed, but it had to be done.
I hope so.
Arthur's eyes are pretty bloodshot. Wonder if that has to do with the sickness or if that's just how the graphics are done. All right. That's a mission down. Trying to get to the map. So we have knocked that one out. Now I want to... Trelawney needs to speak to you. Let's get this done. No. I'm just a little bit nervous this will push things forward, but they're all yellow missions. I guess theoretically any one of them could, so we might as well just go right here. Maybe we can create a spare save. Just in case something I'm not really intending to happen, like a chapter being moved forward, happens. And wipes out all these missions, all these story missions. Hey man, pick up the speed. There we go. That took a while. Guess because we were too close to the camp. So we were probably supposed to shoot those guys from up on top of the cliff. The reason that I was kind of wondering was because, you know, he was talking about don't steal anything else. We need this to look a certain way. And I kind of missed what he was saying, but it made me think like maybe the wagon was going to stop to transfer goods to another wagon and we would have a chance to kind of sneak up on it and steal it or something. Made me think that maybe we needed to be doing like a stealth mission. I thought that was a possibility. So that's why I went down there and kind of tailed it for a little bit. And that, again, that came because I was talking about stuff and I just missed the narrative. I was already in a bad mood about how the thing started out.
Arthur,
How you doing?
nervous? But I've been nervous for a while. I had a lot of time to think in that jail, and I feel like I just don't know Dutch no more.
You ain't the only one.
And this plan to get us out, it just feels... I don't know.
Like you're stringing us along, I know.
Killing in cold blood, revenge, we all do bad things, but he seems to enjoy it now. It's like he just wants to create more enemies, more chaos.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Dutch. He saved me a long time ago. I feel like in Saint Denis, when I got arrested, maybe he could have done something.
I feel like you should take your woman and child and get lost.
Do you?
You could give something to Jack. It's that or... Well, I don't see no way out of this.
What about loyalty?
Be loyal to what matters.
What are you gonna do?
I'll be okay, but do it for me. It would make me feel good, if that makes any sense.
A little, but
Listen to me. When the time comes, you gotta run and don't look back. This is over.
That's the quintessential speech of
And
this
now?
whole game so far.
Now we gotta help Dutch give the army one final tweak on its nose.
yeah, come on. Help me with the rest of this.
Well, it looks like we finally found our calling in life.
Okay, well, that's pretty much proof positive right there that Arthur is completely aware of what's happening. He knows this is finished. The reason he isn't leaving is, I would imagine, because he also knows that he's on his way out, and so he might as well do whatever he can for those in the camp that have a chance at something. I think Sadie would probably be one of those. Maybe Mrs. Grimshaw. Certainly John and his girl, Abigail. Mary Beth, I think would be a good chance. So I guess that maybe, well, it probably is a sense of responsibility, but given his discussion with John, he at least intellectually understands that that's nonsense. But just because you intellectually know something doesn't mean you can get rid of the training that's in you, or the role that you feel like you've held for so long, or the pattern of behavior that you've kind of been trained up to for such a long period of time. Sometimes you can know this is all BS and you still can't let go. That's what I think. So I think that's Arthur's position, because really, to me, Arthur should be thinking about Mary. You know what? I don't know if he ought to or not. He's sick, man, and it's communicable. I might be wrong about that. That's he might know that too. Yeah. Arthur's just in a bad spot. I guess he is doing the best thing that he can right now, which is to help those in that camp get out alive. But he's got to do it real subtle, or Dutch will kill him. I think that's the situation.
Let's ride this thing out onto the bridge. There's a spot about a third of the way across where we can get down underneath to plant the charges.
Hold down A as
We're
Arthur
already
pushes
set
the
up
bar
the
down.
detonator.
Release as he raises
Sure.
it.
Let's get this over with. You hear about Dutch and Cornwall?
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. More enemies, more chaos. I mean, we're about to blow up a bridge, for Christ's sake. All right, stop. Here's good.
We sure got a lot of this stuff.
We'll need it. I'll climb down there, you lower the crates.
All right.
You know there's going to
Let
be
me know
a
when you're ready.
train.
Got it.
They're going to get halfway through this thing out there in the middle of the bridge, and a train's going to
Ready
come.
when you are.
It's
I'm
gonna
at the
be
bottom of the
early or
ladder,
something.
Here to your left. That's the spot. Lower it from there. I'm ready. Come on. All right, take it slow.
Okay.
That's not something we want to drop. That's it. Nearly there. Okay, good.
that line was delivered real
Grab the
well
other
by
one.
John. Get the second time, like he kind of laughed, you know.
Hurry, Arthur, before someone sees us. Start lowering it, Arthur. Nice and easy.
Got it.
All right, come down here and help me plant this stuff.
Copy that.
What are you doing up there?
Hold your horses, man.
Okay, grab yourself a bundle from the box. The bridge is wired to the detonator. You need to attach each of those bundles to the fuses. There's one on each of the main support beams.
Okay.
Whoops.
Okay, I should go get the handcart ready. You okay to finish off down here?
Sure. Go on. I can handle the rest.
I'll see you up there. This better work.
This is kind of a marvel of engineering. I don't know, maybe marvel is too much, but it's just nice to see what people can build.
These are mining charges. They ain't easy to come by. If they don't do the job, nothing will.
It's kind of a shame to see the whole thing get blown to smithereens.
Shit! I think I hear something coming, Arthur.
Okay. Oh yeah, we gotta get off the tracks.
Train! Arthur, get up here quick!
Yeah, I'm on my way.
Faster, buddy, come on! Shit. Arthur! The train! Come on, quick! Come on! Pump this stupid thing! As hard as you can! Let's go, let's go!
Oh!
Just get to the end of the bridge!
Oh, I guess I didn't get the... Darn it, man. I thought I was... It's like some of it worked and some of it didn't, man. Boy, you gotta get that timing
Pump
right.
this stupid thing! As hard as you can! jump! Get ready to jump! It's right on us! Come on!
Jump!
That didn't really seem like it played out in a realistic way, but we get it.
That just ain't how I want to die. Come on. Let's go blow this thing up. I think the line held. You want the honors?
Sure.
Goodbye, sweet bridge.
Well, I guess old Dutch got all the smoke he wants.
Let's hope so.
What a
You
shame.
really think that that'll draw attention away from us?
I guess we'll see. Tell the truth, I ain't even sure I fully understand Dutch's plan with all this.
Like I said, John, when the time comes, you go.
What about loyalty to everything?
You've been loyal. I've been loyal. Look what that cost. You know, all that ever mattered to me was loyalty. It was all I knew. It's all I ever believed in. Well, not anymore, John. Soon, you gotta go. Go. Don't look back.
I'll think about it.
I've done a lot of thinking. Look at us. Out here risking our necks, and for what exactly? For an idea that don't work no more.
How you mean?
You know just what I mean. You got a family. You need cash. You need to start building a life for yourself. Me? I need a vacation. And Dutch has all the money for safekeeping.
You know something? Abigail thinks she might know where some of that money is.
Well, you tell her she better make sure. And then come talk to me. And we'll find out just who and what we should be loyal to.
Boy.
I don't know, Arthur.
Nor do I. But I'm seeing things a lot more clearly now. I wish things were different. But it weren't us who changed.
Yeah!
This is one of the most important episodes we've had so far. Oh my gosh, man. Things have really... I don't know how to explain it. Like, the game was... Man, listen to his breathing. Oh my gosh, man. He's close. Dry land drowning. Oh, we can't even go. It won't let us move. There he goes. Son of a gun, man. Let's try that weapon. So what am I wanting to say here? First of all, we're gonna go set camp. Let's see. Where's my horse at? So the game has never not been fun for me. But a little while ago, we entered into, like, I guess whenever he got sick, the game turned really dark. And that becomes a little bit harder for me to play, if that makes sense. I think you guys can understand that. Most of us are probably kind of wired. It's just a bit of a downer, you know? But the story's good. I suppose it's something like whenever you're on the highway, you know, nobody can look away from a wreck.
You stay right there.
Uh-oh.
This has nothing to do with me.
Shoot you if you move again. Kill him. Yeah.
You're okay.
Oh, this seems sketchy. Ugh. Sorry. Are they still chasing? I don't think so.
Yep.
Well, so now, and this is the part I don't really know how to describe. It's still dark, and it's a bit of a downer, but you have somebody with, like, oh man, this is gonna sound cheesy as all heck. I guess I should be unapologetic about it, because at the end of the day, it's kind of who I am. But you have somebody who can invest themselves into something of a noble cause in the midst of complete crisis, as everything's dying and falling apart. It's like that Doors song, "Nobody here gets out alive." But how you exit kind of maybe makes a difference. Or maybe being able to get some of your people out at the expense of a few that raised their hands and volunteered to lay their lives down, you know? It's that kind of a thing. So, not that it's not dark, but it has purpose. Maybe that's what I'm looking for. There's some purpose here. Instead of us just being a victim of circumstances and kind of twiddling our thumbs until we can't breathe no more. That's a rock. No, I was worried that was a bear. Okay, we need to set camp. I need to make sure I'm outside of the zone where I can be arrested, though. Okay, we're up close to the reservation. I would imagine, given our recent actions, we're safe. So AOC wanted to impeach Trump, and the guy is trending right now as a possible Nobel Prize award winner. I think Al Green is actually the one that submitted the bill. That thing died on the House floor, something like 378 to 70 or something like that. I don't know. It got obliterated. And even Democrats are saying this is utterly ridiculous. And Trump called AOC out as being stupid. And I thought that was fantastic, man. Do I have it? Can we make... we cannot. Okay. Tell you what, we're going to eat something before laying down for sleep. We're going to have some baked beans and pineapple, and I think that'll be it. I kind of want to, maybe he should have crackers. Do biscuits. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. Sleep till morning. So all in all, the weekend and the first couple days of the week had some really interesting things that happened. We got out of the Middle East, and look, You know, I'm not one of the people that was super overly worried. To be honest, and I know some of you might think this sounds ridiculous, but I chalk that up to being a Christian. Because, in my opinion, I'm part of one of the most likely demographics to be nervous. 20 years in the military, America's longest war. I was on both sides of that equation, on both sides of 9/11. I was in before 9/11 in a peacetime Air Force. In fact, whenever I joined, I was thinking about joining the Peace Corps. But I saw Mogadishu happen, and I saw a warlord take UN food, like World, oh, it's not World Health Organization. There's a group that gives out food to poor people. Took all the bags of rice off the trucks at gunpoint with UN soldiers there that didn't do a single solitary thing. And at that point in time, I flushed the idea of the Peace Corps right down the toilet. At that point in time, the U.S. Air Force was actually the world's largest humanitarian organization. It delivered the most amount of goods to the most impoverished people of anybody in the entire world. But they brought guns with them, and they kind of dared you to make them use them, you know? And so that's the organization I joined for those kinds of purposes. And then 9/11 happened, and I'm on the other side of 9/11, and it becomes America's longest war ever, all of it in the Middle East. So that my perspective is that every ounce of what lies in the Middle East, I call it quicksand. It is real hard to even dip a toe in it. Think about John Wick whenever the manager of the hotel is telling him, you so much as dip a finger back into this pool and it's got you. Did we sleep? I don't know if my guy slept or not. I think he did. It's like morning time, yeah. Yeah, okay. Let's go. I gotta tear this thing down. So there is plenty in my personal experience, and it's kind of like a myopic experience. When you're in the military for 20 years, that means there's a lot of other things that you didn't do. You know, so it dominates my worldview, or it can. And so I should actually be one of those people that are like, do not even remotely get in contact with this. Don't let anybody pull you in. We'll be there for another 20 years. Yeah. And you know, I've got some questions about 9/11, but let's just pretend that I didn't.
Yep.
For something like 9/11, that makes total sense. But for this is an awful lot of risk when maybe there's some other approaches to it. And it sure kind of looks like maybe manipulation is happening, you know. I could see that. I didn't take it off the board. I didn't necessarily feel that was the answer at the end of the day. I just understood how somebody with my background and experience might be quick to jump to that conclusion. And yet I didn't feel that way. I understood that Donald Trump is not George Bush. Causation does not equal correlation, or maybe it's the other way around. Right? This is not going to be the same thing. Here we go. Is this all set up? And I don't think I can come...
Yep.
With my background, I think that would be hard for me to reach that conclusion on my own. I believe that the Holy Spirit had something to do with that. Okay, so what I'm trying to illustrate is that there were people who were not completely off their rocker to be really nervous about whether or not we could actually pull this off the way we wanted to, or whether it would act like quicksand and drag us in. And Trump pulled that off with flying colors so far. We're still early, and it's a real shaky ceasefire. But because of how Trump handled this, America's concerns really are handled. I can't speed up anymore. We got to get through the camp. Golly, are they really gonna? Maybe there's another way. I don't want to. This is a really slow roll. Let's head down here first. So even Democrats kind of recognize that, and they're saying that AOC's position is ridiculous. That's what I was explaining before all these missions kicked off, is that I wish I could, but I can't sit here and thumb my nose at AOC, because I was kind of thinking the same thing when Obama bombed Libya, and I held that position up until recently, where I saw people write about how, no, that's not the case, and they gave explanation that made sense to me. But AOC should know that. Even if she's not a lawyer, like, I don't believe she went to school for law. I think she went for economics, which is hilarious. But she has a staff. So I just don't... I'm not willing to give AOC the benefit of the doubt. I think she's a liar. And I think most people on her side are liars. John Fetterman is the one that I'm really kind of surprised about. But most people on her side, they don't mean what they say. What they do is they try to tactically exploit any and all situations to move the ball forward for some hidden agenda that they have, or to set things up in the future. They don't really give a flip about what they're talking about. They're just using that because it's politically expedient, or they think it's politically expedient. And she made a misstep here and looked the fool. Even her own party voted in a landslide against that idea, and said that anybody, I don't think they called her out by name, but they said anybody who thinks that this is an impeachable offense is an idiot.
Yeah.
So that I was happy to see that, because what you really witnessed, let's strip away everything and just call it like it is. Of course, this is my opinion, but you didn't see AOC bring yet another dumb idea to the floor, showcasing her complete ineptitude and lack of understanding of how the Constitution works or our legal system, and who has what responsibilities. You didn't see any of that. What you saw is AOC try to manipulate the situation and end up getting her narrative absolutely obliterated. That's what you saw. And that's a big deal. That stops a precedent from being set to act as a rhetorical cudgel over the next few years. You know, it really kind of puts the kibosh on a lot of things. That's what you saw. So that was a pretty outstanding development, in my opinion. Now, we'll see the rest of the week how this truce holds up. It's shaky, not just because they've already had like shots fired and stuff. It was kind of messy getting to the actual truce cutoff period, but Trump really kind of forced that to happen also. He did a good job on pressuring both sides. Both sides really acquiesced. But because of the nature of it, the thing's been going on millennia. We're absolute morons if we think that we're going to be the ones that really stop it. Eventually, somebody's going to stop it, but the Bible says that's going to be the Antichrist. Well, that's my take on it. Let's be clear there, especially for people who don't really know.
Yeah.
There are a number of Christian positions on that, and all of them have pretty solid argumentation. I still think at the end of the day there's a right answer and there's a wrong answer. But what I'm not going to say is that people who have a wrong argument, in my opinion, that can be disproven, are being nonsensical about it. They have good arguments. And so this is something that I don't really get into the weeds on, and I don't fight with people over, because I respect your right to interpret things how you want, and it's ultimately not something that really kind of makes you a threat to the faith or anything like that. It's just a different take. Yeah, I get it. Okay, it's fine. So I wanted to be upfront about that and not give any kind of impression like I've got the total right answer on this. But that would be my take. Is that the person who is able to get a real, actual, permanent peace deal in place regarding Israel and the Middle East is going to be the Antichrist. And, you know, they have that term by hook or by crook. I think it will probably be done through illicit manner. Kind of like how Obama used to operate. Obama could get a lot of people to agree because he was a gangster. You know, it was plateau plomo, man. Hey, you know, you want to sign on to this deal and get rich with the rest of us, or do you want to get politically assassinated? Go find yourself a new career. So, anyway, we'll see how things develop, and we'll see what else happens. I'm hoping that they can get this this bill passed. There's a lot of red tape in the way of that would be really nice to finally get out of the way if John Thune would use his authority to fire certain people. But he seems reluctant to do so, so we'll have to see how they do, but how they get it done, if they're able to. But it would... What I want to see, what I'm getting at, it's not like I don't know this bill super well. I just kind of trust Trump. I haven't dug into the bill a whole lot. What I'm wanting to see happen and what I think that bill helps to accomplish is I want to start seeing the domestic agenda get accomplished. We have dealt with Iran's nuclear threat. We should be out of that. That's right, I didn't finish that thought, guys. I was starting a thought earlier that one of the things I think is really outstanding here is that because Trump went against people in his own party, was willing to rock the boat really hard. Because he did that, and he got off one of the most flawless military strikes really in recent history. Dominant. Used some sleight of hand also. I mean, tactically speaking, it was pretty amazing. Because he did that and he wiped these nuclear sites out, America's concerns are alleviated. Now, we need to understand, just like they're saying on some of the talk shows, I think I heard Charlie Kirk say, there is a difference between Iran's nuclear program and their nuclear capability. We destroyed their nuclear capability, but nuclear program is a mindset.
Arthur, you dumbass.
Welcome back.
And we don't have control over that. But we took out their capability, and that allows us to wash our hands of this, even if Iran and Israel stay at each other's throats. Bill's been real feisty lately.
Sure. Of course he is. But I don't think you're goddamn careful with that horse, Arthur.
Okay. Keep your hair on.
If we stay here.
Yeah!
A disloyal fool. Hey, no one being disloyal here, boy.
My horse doesn't know what to do. Oh, there we go. And keep the mustache, just as it is.
How are you?
Hey, kiddo.
Yes, I'm okay.
Where are you at?
Good, I guess.
All right, so Trelawney. He's right here. Oh, we're at an hour, guys. I'm glad I didn't hit that. All right, we better save it. So I think that that's fantastic. Let me wrap that thought up, I guess. I'm really happy. I think that, who knows, I don't have a crystal ball. And the river can always turn. But I think Trump did everything that he could at great risk. I mean, he really rocked the boat on that. It was pretty unpopular. There were a lot of people that were really. I don't think the majority felt that way, but the ones who did, you ever see those media polls where they're like slightly agree, slightly disagree, agree, disagree, greatly disagree? This was a greatly disagree stance. He really pissed a lot of people off on his own side. They were upset, man. There were people talking about leaving MAGA and that Trump wasn't America first anymore. And man, so Trump took a lot of political risk there, but he ran with his instincts and he got the job done, and he's reaping the benefits now. His polls are through the roof, and I think it has set us up to be in a position where we can go ahead and disengage from this, let Israel and Iran do whatever they're going to do, and we can now pursue our domestic agenda, having this without having this U.S. taxpayer-funded Obama project of Iran nuclear, a nuclear weaponized Iran hanging over our heads. And I think that's a really big deal. So, and then we squashed AOC's attempt at setting a narrative that just got completely upended. I think that we're not giving that enough credit. That was a big deal. It doesn't feel like a big deal because the train never got rolling. But that was really great to see not only Republicans but even other Democrats say that's utterly ridiculous. We'll overwrite right here. So some big things happened that I think were real positive for this country, and now hopefully we can turn our heads back, our eyes back, our attention back to our domestic issues, and especially that of the illegals that are causing all kinds of problems here in the country. On that note, I'll leave this. Like, what are you might wonder? What's the actual benefit? Where does America benefit? Because these people just want to lead peaceful lives and work and feed their families like anybody else. No, that's not true. Maybe some of them do, but a lot of them are radicals. When Biden opened up that border, it brought a different kind of demographic than what we're used to seeing. And then the rest of them, we already have an example. We've been fear-mongering for years and years and years. What are we going to do when these people leave? The Americans don't want to do these jobs. To me, it's such an elitist position. I think you're disgusting whenever you think of the illegal immigrants as just simply house labor, or to take care of your yards. It's just kind of turns my stomach a little bit. I don't think these people mean to be that way. But that's not an excuse. You are what you are. And that's disgusting, in my opinion. You really need to do some soul reflection. And none of these people will ever soul reflect on themselves. They think they're holier than thou and that they're on the right side of history and that it's everybody else that's a troglodyte. These morons. I fargan hate them. So, hate's a strong word. I should probably take that back. But you guys get the picture. So we've already seen now that theory get completely blown up. There was some business owner that got raided in Nebraska, lost something like 76 workers, and said we don't have a playbook for how to come back from this. It was like in a couple days, there were American workers in there applying for every single one of those jobs. That's the benefit that you'll start to, if this country will just take care of itself and not give in to the idea that Europe tried and completely failed at, which is multiculturalism. We are not multicultural. Multiculturalism does not work. The melting pot works. We are a nation made up of people from all over the world, different bloodlines, different ethnicities, different belief systems, different worldviews, but one singular American vision. And if you can't get on board with that, you can get the F out. That's really what the stance should always be. You got to understand, this is where I'll wrap it up. One of the best things I do to help me understand things is I look for things that I would call are principally true. if it's a principle of truth, if it's axiomatic, it will be true in the micro as well as the macro. Now, maybe that sounds a little houty-touty. Let me put that in plain English. It'll be true in low-level, personal, one person versus one person instances, as well as high-level nation state versus nation state, or alliance of nations versus alliance of nations, right? And so the thing that I see here is that if you're going to have a partnership with somebody, like a marriage or a romantic relationship long term, and you're really putting everything into it, you're putting all of your assets, everybody's taking a risk there, and you have to have a unified vision. You can't have one person. It's think about how exceptionally difficult it would be to have a marriage and then raise children in a relationship where one person is a Muslim and the other person is a Druid. I think a Christian or a Jew is most easily like that's the easiest to understand, but I didn't want to. I wanted to show that it's not even just the typical stereotypical thought. What about an atheist? When you start having kids and you have those arguments, and that person that's very rigidly Islamic versus that person who's very rigidly atheistic, these things don't typically work out well. You need to have a unified vision. Now, there are perhaps some, I've seen relationships, or at least heard of them. I've heard of relationships where one person was Christian and one person was atheist. But you know what? The Christian person was not really super serious about their beliefs. And the atheist person wasn't really super serious about their kid not going to church. They maybe saw some good things that could come from that, as long as they didn't become what they would consider brainwashed. But what those people have is they have a common vision in other areas. But there has to be unifying ties and strong ties. It's the ties that bind. And so if you bring people in here that won't adhere to that hate this country, that hate what it stands for, that hate how it's built, or are indifferent and just want to do their thing and treat this like it's the world's biggest job fair and send all their money home. You can't hold a nation together like that, just like you can't hold a relationship. So that's where I'll end it. We'll overwrite this. And again, I'm Aesop Grimm. Thank you for coming by the channel. I hope you like what you saw. And more importantly, I hope all is well in your neck of the woods. And I'll see you in the next episode where this story continues.